Shalom, giving out praise, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh. Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the whole elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, to us say Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. All right, we get into lessons. Joshua chapter 20. It's a short chapter, but it's an important chapter. And as you see, it goes back to other history here. All right, because you have the Genesis, Exodus, uh, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, right? So this takes you back actually into the law, because this is the law, all right? And we received the law when we were still in the wilderness under Moses, all right? Exodus 24, okay? So this is taking us back into the law because that's what this is about, all right? So it says the 6 cities of refuge. And you see it references both Deuteronomy 19:1 through 13 and Numbers 35, 9 through 28. Now, we're probably not going to read all of this because it's pretty much going to be the same thing. We'll get the top of each one of these, Numbers 35 and 9, just to show you. And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then ye shall appoint your cities to be cities of refuge for you, right? That the slayer may flee thither, which killeth any person at unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before the congregation in judgment, right? So if you go to Deuteronomy 19, 1 to 13, right, is when Yahweh thy power hath cut off the nations, whose land Yahweh thy power giveth thee, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their cities and in their houses. Thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee in the midst of thy land, which Yahweh thy power giveth thee to possess it. Thou shalt prepare thee a way, and divide the coast of thy land, which Yahweh thy power giveth thee to inherit, into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee thither. And this is the case of the slayer which shall flee thither, that he may live. All right, whoso killeth his neighbor ignorantly, whom he hated not in time past, as when a man goeth into the wood with his neighbor to hew wood, and his hand fetched a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slippeth from the helve, and lighteth upon his neighbor, that he die, he shall flee into one of those cities and live. All right, lest the avenger of the blood pursue the slayer while his heart is hot and overtake him, because the way is long, and slay him, whereas he was not worthy of death, insomuch he hated him not in time past. So basically what it's just said there is if an accident occurred, all right? And so we're not saying that this law was pertaining to a man chopping wood in the forest. That's just the example that was used. So if you and another man is in the forest chopping up trees, hewing wood, and you jerk your arm back, to swing up, all right, and the axe flies off, the end of the axe handle, right, and it cuts the man in the head, all right, and he dies. That's an accident. It wasn't like you took him out in the forest to actually kill him on purpose. It was premeditated. No, that was an accident. Okay, but the family of that person or someone close to him even though it was an accident, and no one was there to really see it, so no one can really explain it and break it down, which is why the elders would be, coming to into business, but no one was there to see it, so the avenger of that person, they're gonna be hot, they're gonna be angry at the moment, because this is someone they love who was put to death, and you're telling them, it was being told it was an accident, but they don't know that, so maybe they don't assume it was an accident, they think it was a murder, okay? So this person is to flee to these cities. All right. So that's basically what it's breaking down. So let's go through it. Joshua 21. Yahweh also spake unto Joshua, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Appoint for you cities of refuge, whereof I spake unto you by the hand of Moses. So when you get the word refuge here, all right, makwalat, refuge, asylum, all right? That's refuge. And we can get the word asylum, because it doesn't mean like the insane ward. Okay. The protection granted by a nation to someone who has left their native country as a political refugee, an institution offering shelter and support to people who are mentally ill. See, it's not number 2, which it is number 2, but not in this case. It's not talking about number 2. All right, from the Greek, a, meaning without, Salon right of seizure, Asalos, Asalos, inviolable, Asalon refuge, Latin, same thing, I guess. Asylum it became, right, place of refuge in late Middle English, all right? But it goes back to here, all right? We're dealing with the law, refuge. Let's see what Qualatus says. All right, so yeah, we don't need that. I can be looked into that. So yeah, basically it's a safe haven, all right, for someone who finds himself in this situation. Like, man, I didn't mean to kill him, man. It was an accident, okay? And there was a law. The law goes into all of that because it also speaks about, if you and a brother is fighting and you kill the man on accident, all right? Like, we've been speaking on the law in ancient times, but we'll use a modern day example so you can understand. All right, y'all fighting in the streets, and you punch him, and he stumbled, and in his stumble he fell backward, and he banged his head on the fire hydrant right in his temple. You didn't mean to put him to death. Y'all were just fighting, trying to get the best of one another. But when you punched him, he stumbled back, he fell in the hydrant, and he died. That was an accidental death. You didn't premeditate. Yeah, we about to fight. I'm about to off this nigga right here, right? Okay, it was an accident. All right, so the law deals with these things. So it says, whereof I spake unto you by the hand of Moses, that which is going up here, all right, to Numbers and Deuteronomy, all right, because that was when we were under Moses receiving the law, all right, and things to do in certain matters. That the slayer that killeth any person unawares, you see, and unwittingly, may flee thither, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. All right, because as we already read, someone may get very pissed off about it. They're not going to want to hear what anyone is talking about. Oh, my loved one is dead. Da, 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 da. That was my dad. That was my brother or my uncle or whatever. That was my favorite cousin, my son. All right. They're going to be too angry to hear reason. And so in their anger, they're going to seek revenge. See? So, see, man, it's beautiful because the Lord covers everything, man. All right. I forgot what I pulled up here. Okay, yeah, Avenger. Yeah. Because I was talking here. Salakia. So Avenger of Blood, right? So verse 4 says, and when he that doeth flee unto one of those cities shall stand at the entering of the gate of the city, all right, and shall declare his cause in the ears of the elders of that city. See, we spoke about that. They shall take him into the city unto them and give him place that he may dwell among them. And as a matter of fact, let's go back up because I don't think that it mentions. We'll go back into the law so we can read the cities here because I don't think Joshua was going to mention the cities. Yeah, it says right here, I command thee, saying, thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee, and that is verse 7. So let's pull it up. Moving down to verse 8. And if Yahweh power enlarge thy coast, as he had sworn to thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he promised to give unto thy fathers. I believe there's somewhere in here where it actually mentions those cities. Let me see if we can get it from the numbers. Numbers is a big portion there. Okay. It says verse start at 13, and of these cities which ye shall give, 6 cities shall ye have for refuge. Ye shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan, and 3 cities shall ye give in the land of Canaan. So it just covered east of the Jordan and west of the Jordan, because you may be on the other side of the river. So maybe you're in the port, because I think the Jordan River is separating, certain of our lands, our tribal lands. So you're not gonna just be able to just jump over the Jordan, all right? Jordan ain't just some small little river, okay? Like, some brook or pond or something, right? No, it's called a river for a reason. So if you're somewhere, on depending on what side you're on, you're not going to be able to go over the river. You have to find a way across, okay? And they may be nowhere near you. So the Lord covers that. The seed is on this side, seed is on that side, all right? So it says, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge both for the children of Israel and for the stranger and the sojourner among them. All right, these are all talking about Israelites, man. Okay, that everyone that killeth any person unawares may flee thither. All right, because someone might be traveling through from another tribe into another tribal land, or just a total Israelite, who came from wherever, all right, to dwell amongst their people. I'm looking for the cities though. I know there's somewhere in the law where it mentions all the cities there. I believe I read it in Deuteronomy before, but I'm not saying that's the only place. I was just looking for those particular cities if I could find them, but it's okay. Um, yeah, that's nothing there. Let's keep going. We'll pull up another one in a second. Let me see here. So we read 4. So verse 5, and if the avenger of blood pursue after him, then they shall not deliver the slayer up into his hand, because he smote his neighbor unwittingly and hated him not before time, which we already covered that. It was an accident. All right. That's why it says unwittingly. All right. Because he didn't premeditate, I'm going to murder this guy today. All right. I'm going to kill him today. All right. It happened on accident. That's why it says hated him not. Okay. Before time. See? So it says, and he shall dwell in that city until he stand before the congregation for judgment, and until the death of the high priest that shall be in those days. Then shall the slayer return and come unto his own city and unto his own house, unto the city from whence he fled. And they appointed, oh, here we go. Yep, so it is here. And they appointed Kadesh in Galilee, and Mount Naphtali, and Shechem, and Mount Ephraim, and Kirjath-arba, which is Hebron, in the mountain of Judah. On the other side, Jordan by Jericho, eastward, all right, they assigned Bezer in the wilderness upon the plain out of the tribe of Reuben, and Ramoth and Gilead out of the tribe of Gad, and Golan and Bashan out of the tribe of Manasseh. All right, so everybody has a place to flee if they get found, all right, in this situation, whether they be on the east of the Jordan or the west of the Jordan. All right, so it says, oh, we're done already. Okay, well, I said it was a short chapter. These were the cities appointed for all the children of Israel, and for the stranger that sojourneth among them. All right, that whosoever killeth any person at unawares might flee thither, and not die by the hand of the avenger of blood, until he stood before the congregation. All right, get a proper trial. Okay, and when you take it further, dealing with the law about trials, right, it talks about not perverting judgment. Okay, because you might have someone that get kind of wicked for some coins, and they'll take money, in bribery, all right, to distort the decision of a trial when that person may have been innocent, but the wicked individual went to this wicked judge, all right, and bribed them, gave him some coin, gave him whatever, all right, so that he could pervert the judgment. All right, scriptures talk about that. Don't pervert judgment. Okay, so once again, covers everything. All right. So it says, yep. And let's get stranger real quick, because it's twice it mentions it. All right, Gar, so a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. All right, of foreigners in Israel though conceded rights. So every definition here is speaking about Israelites, because they may have been Israelite that came from afar. All right, they live amongst their tribal people in the land allotted to them, or it could be an Israelite who come from another tribe. All right, just in this particular land of this other tribe. So excuse me, he's letting you know these strangers, these sojourners, these are Israelites. Now, that's aside from the case where you may have a slave or something like that. All right, because you help out your Hebrew brother, he becomes your servant. But also, we could have slaves of heathen nations. Okay, I mean that should be understandable, because in the kingdom of heaven, all right, there's certain lands that are allotted to us, but there's going to be heathens living in our lands, because we're going to what? Have them as servants. So it's not just going to be heathens back in their own lands and we have to go there and visit, No, you're going to have heathens living amongst your particular areas too, because they're going to be your slaves. All right? They're going to be your servants. They're going to wait on you hand and foot for whatever you need, the fields, the cattle, the whatever. All right? So it says to sojourn, abide, dwell in, dwell with, remain, inhabit, be a stranger, be continuing surely. All right, to sojourn, dwell for a time. It's all the same thing we mentioned before. So, there's not really much to speak about there. All right, it's all talking about Israelites. But that's why we also mentioned that small situation where you may have, a heathen. All right, that heathen wouldn't be just randomly living in our lands. Okay, it'd be, a servant, if anything. All right, a slave. Now, that is aside from those Canaanite tribes that were mentioned that we didn't fully
do away with. But that was for a bigger purpose later on in history, because the Lord he always presets things up. All right, and so as we mentioned already, it was to try the Israelites. Okay, whether they would keep the Lord's commandments or no. All right, so that's an exception to everything else we talked about. Okay, so these were the cities appointed for all the children of Israel, and for the stranger that sojourneth among them, that whosoever killeth any person that unawares might flee thither, and not die by the hand of the avenger of blood, until he stood for the congregation. We can get the NLT real quick, just to close it off. On the east side of the Jordan River, across from Jericho, the following cities were designated: Bezer, in the wilderness plain of the tribe of Reuben; Ramoth and Gilead, in the territory of the tribe of Gad; and Golan and Bashan, in the land of the tribe of Manasseh. These cities were set apart for all the Israelites, as well as the foreigners living among them. Anyone who accidentally, killed another person could take refuge in one of these cities. In this way, they could escape being killed in revenge prior to standing trial before the local assembly. All right, and even when you go back to, let me get this real quick. All right, speaking about the law once again, right? Let me see if I can find where it says thou shalt not kill. Here it is, thou shalt not kill. Okay, which really is more so thou shalt not murder, in the case that we're talking about murder, because there's a premeditated murder, then as we just read, there's an accidental murder. But if because if you premeditate to murder someone, all right, that's you attempting to and carrying out to kill that person, because you also have to understand we killed animals, right, for food, for offerings and things of that nature. All right, so thou shalt not kill. Okay, there's a deeper understanding, to murder. You see, that's why murder is there, because there's a difference between just killing and then murder. Because we have to kill animals for sacrifices, things of that nature, but then you have the kill where you actually premeditated to kill one of your brethren. All right, but then you have the case of murder, all right, which can be accidental, which is what the other scriptures that we were reading were explaining. All right. And that's what, see right here, it says both those things. All right, now I'm looking down. Premeditated, and it says accidental. So the scriptures cover these things, as a whole, because there's certain differences of certain meanings. All right. But that's pretty much the end of that chapter there. I said Exodus 20. Joshua chapter 20. All right. So Lord willing, you will edify. Till next time, Yahshua, I'm going to say Shalom.